Today we're going to provide a factual, step-by-step breakdown of the tragic events that took place in Grand Blanc, Michigan. In this explainer, we'll cover the attack itself, the victims, the official response, and the aftermath, and we're basing all of this strictly on verified reports.
It was a place that was supposed to be a sanctuary, a place of peace, but it became the scene of an unimaginable tragedy that has shaken a community to its absolute core.
So to really understand the full scope of what happened, we're going to look at this in 5 parts, starting with a timeline of the attack itself.
Okay, let's establish the timeline of this devastating assault.
This all happened while hundreds of people were gathered for their weekly service. You know, a time when everyone expected to be safe?
What's really astonishing when you look at this timeline is just how fast the initial response was. I mean, from the very first 911 call, officers were on the scene in just 25 seconds. The entire active threat was contained in less than 8 minutes. That's a real testament to the rapid mobilization of those first responders. And the attack itself was really a 3-pronged assault. The suspect rammed a vehicle through the doors, then got out and opened fire, and then started a fire. By doing all 3, the attacker created just maximum chaos, injuring people while also blocking escape routes, which, as you can imagine, posed an extreme challenge for everyone involved.
So now, let's turn to the human cost of this tragedy, the person responsible and the innocent victims.
Authorities were able to quickly identify the suspect. He was 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford from the nearby city of Burton, and the human cost of his actions was just immense. 2 people lost their lives and 8 other people suffered gunshot wounds. One of those people remains in critical condition.
You know, the fire added this really grim dimension to the search and recovery. Authorities were very clear that because of that blaze, there was a very real fear that the number of casualties could actually go up once they were able to get into the entire building.
All right, now we'll shift our focus to the immediate emergency response, the actions that were taken to end the threat and get the scene under control.
And just to put that response time into perspective, officers were on site in less than 1 minute from that first call. That kind of speed was absolutely a critical factor in preventing any more loss of life inside that church.
The confrontation itself actually happened outside the church building. 2 responding officers engaged the suspect in a shootout right there in the parking lot, and as a result, the suspect was neutralized. That's what ended the active threat to the public.
And this statement from Police Chief William Renier was so crucial right after it happened. It sent a really clear message to the community that the immediate danger was over and that authorities were confident they had the only person responsible. So while the police were dealing with the shooter, this whole other major crisis was unfolding. Fire crews were on scene at the same time, battling that massive fire, working to save lives, and also preserve the scene for the investigators.
So, with the threat contained, attention then turned to the really complex, multi-agency investigation that had to follow.
And the big question, the main goal of this whole investigation, is to figure out a motive. Why did this happen? As of now, authorities have not released any official information on that, and they've been very careful to caution against any speculation.
The scale of an incident like this, well, it requires a massive coordinated effort. You've got the local police leading, with help from the Michigan State Police, the FBI bringing their huge investigative resources, and of course, the ATF, which specializes in firearms and arson cases.
And just to underscore the scale of the federal response, the FBI assigned about 100 agents to this case. Their main job was to help local authorities by conducting the huge number of witness interviews that were needed.
Finally, let's look at the aftermath, the outpouring of grief and support from the local community and from leaders all across the country.
The church's official statement really captured that profound sense of violation that its members felt. They emphasized that a sacred space, a space for peace, was turned into a place of violence. The state's governor, Gretchen Whitmer, she echoed that same sentiment, condemning the violence and expressing her solidarity with the whole community as they grieve.
The White House also acknowledged the tragedy. The president was briefed on what was called a horrendous attack, and he reaffirmed the full support of federal law enforcement.
And you know, in the middle of all that chaos and grief, the community immediately started to mobilize. A reunification site was set up for families trying to find each other, the Red Cross was on scene to help, and mental health resources were made widely available to help people begin to process this trauma. You know, as the investigators continue their search for answers, the Grand Blanc community is really just left with this question that has no easy answer. How does a place of sanctuary even begin to heal after it's been violated? For the families, for the survivors, and for the entire town, that long process is just beginning.